Hello there, Marcus here from Food Profits with a young man today at a lovely little cafe called Fresh Basil in Belper in Derbyshire. And I met Andy a few years ago when he came on a workshop that was running, and great guy, really into his food, runs a great magazine which I'll let tell you about in a minute or two. But you visit lots of food businesses in Derbyshire, don't you, Andy?
I do indeed, yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, since launching the magazine came out about 3 weeks ago, but we've been working on it for the last year or so, really.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've been going around, cafes, pubs, restaurants, doing the market research and meeting lots of people, for the past year.
Which is fantastic. Now, you've got a great magazine. Andy's magazine, we're going to talk about in a minute too, is called Taste the Seasons. It's aimed predominantly at food businesses, so whether you're producers who are actually supplying food, selling food, so whether a cafe or a pub or a restaurant, stuff like that, isn't it, Andy?
Absolutely.
And one of your passions is about great food and quality, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Go on, tell us a bit about that.
Okay, so the magazine's ethos really is all about local food, so it's a Derbyshire magazine, so everything in there is Derbyshire, all the recipes are Derbyshire recipes from Derbyshire chefs.
You're a Derbyshire lad, aren't you?
Yeah, Derbyshire, born and bred, born in the city, and yeah, I've lived in Derbyshire all my life, just very passionate about the country.
Fantastic, and sorry to cut across you there. Why do you think then that going forward, food, sort of local food is going to get bigger and bigger? Why do you think it's like this? Because there's definitely like what I call a community base going on, isn't there?
Yeah, and I just think people want that quality now. When I was growing up in the sort of 70s and 80s, and the supermarkets were taking more of a stranglehold.
You don't like, by the way. Go on.
Yes, I do. And the whole convenience thing, and people would just go to the supermarket and get their ready meals, I think we just got to a point where people got sick of this and got sick of eating bland food and crappy microwave meals that, great, you can come in and put them in a microwave and it's easy and in 4 minutes and you're done, but they taste bloody awful. I think people have just got sick and tired of that, and they want to start, supporting the local community, their local producers and growers, and getting back to the basics really, and eating food and drinking drink that's at a very high standard.
I totally agree with you, and one of the things we always talk to our following at Food Profits is all very much about quality based, but also about using people locally and locally sourced.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, I live in Belper, and it's this place, for instance, Fresh Basil. They really support the local food and drink producers. So you go downstairs there. You've got beers from 2 different microbreweries, I believe. There's locally made chocolates, locally made pies, locally made cheese. We've got the first cheese that's been made in Derbyshire for 3 years since the Hartington Creamery closed.
Fantastic.
And this is Joyce, who's an 84-year-old. She's the only person in the entire county making cheese, and it's gorgeous, absolutely stunning cheese. Feature on that in the magazine.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I mean, places like this are really, flying the flag for Derbyshire producers. So.
Yeah, do you see the same sort of thing happening in the whole of the UK, where local producers are going to have like a lot more input into?
Yeah.
You got cafes and restaurants, you got pubs, hotels now wanting to buy. I see it more and more like locally sourced food.
Yeah.
Because you know where it's come from, it's about supporting the local community.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if I go to a restaurant and I see, it's got Derbyshire pork on there or Derbyshire lamb, then I'm going to order that dish because I want to support the local producers. I'm going to ask the waiter as well, which farm is this from as well. They know, they're clued up on that now, whereas 10 years ago they might not have been.
Very good. Yeah. Have you got a favourite restaurant in Derbyshire?
I have a few.
What would you suggest? Who's good? If anyone's sort of travelling up and down, the motorway, while they go through Derbyshire, where would you recommend they go?
In the city, I would recommend the Wonky Table.
The Wonky Table in Derby City Centre.
Yeah, that's not been open ever so long, but it's a fantastic place. Andy and Holly run that place, work really hard. And it's similar to this with the brick walls and everything, and the food is of a very high quality, and again locally sourced.
So, great place. What about rural and sort of the sticks a little bit out in the Derbyshire district, maybe anywhere that you really love?
I've been to Carlo's, which is in Ashbourne.
Carlo's in Ashbourne.
Yeah. which is an Italian place, absolutely fantastic. The guy who runs that, he came over from Italy, surprisingly enough, and he was a footballer, and I think he was playing for Manchester City and Tottenham, if my memory serves me right. He never really made the first teams. He was playing in the reserves, playing at Villa Park and all the big grounds across the country for the reserves. And then he, went to the restaurant business, and he's been in Ashbourne a few years, and now, moved from the original restaurant to a larger one, and doing a fantastic job. Food's just
Ashbourne.
Yeah.
So for anybody wanting Ashbourne, Derbyshire, Del Carlo Italian restaurant.
Absolutely.
Now, I also hear that you have interviewed very, very, very recently a couple of famous chefs.
Well, 3, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go on, who have you been talking to?
Okay, I spoke to James Martin.
Off Saturday Kitchen.
Off Saturday Kitchen, yeah. He came along to Denby Pottery. So I had a sort of whistle-stop interview with him because he was rather busy, but 10 minutes or so. And then a couple of weeks later it was the Derbyshire Food and Drink Fair up at Hardwick Hall, so I spoke to Simon Rimmer off Sunday Brunch.
Simon Rimmer, nice bloke.
Yeah, lovely guy. And then Dean Edwards, who was runner-up in MasterChef, and he's now on Lorraine Kelly's show as the chef there.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah. And pretty much all of them are saying, there's been a renaissance, if you like, in local food, not just in Derbyshire, but across the country, like you were saying with the UK on it. That people are wanting high quality local food again now.
Brilliant. And what would you sort of say to any sort of any restaurant owner, hotel owner, cafe owner that's going to be watching you today about how would you give somebody what we describe as a 5-star experience or a wow experience? What sort of things would you expect when you go out to get that sort of high experience?
I'd say the personal touch. I mean, there's places like the Peacock at Roseley.
Yeah.
Where it's a bit old-fashioned. Every gentleman's good, sir, and it's good old-fashioned manners. You treat it like royalty, basically. And then the food, you just want very, very high-quality food. You want local food, and you want seasonal food as well. And you don't want something. I mean, there are a few restaurants, in Derbyshire where you go and it might be, 2 meals for a £5 or something. And the menu's this big and it's got about 75 options on there, and that it's just come straight out of the freezer and got into the microwave, and it tastes bloody horrendous. People don't want that anymore. They want proper food.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love the treat people with royalty. Treat people like royalty. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've been to the Peacock, have you?
In Rowsley, I have a long time ago. It's a long time ago.
Don't call it Rowsley. It's Roseley. I can tell you a story about that, but.
So it's Roseley, not Rowsley?
It's definitely
Roseley.
Okay.
Yeah. Right,
do you want me to tell you my Roseley story?
Yeah, come on, tell us that.
Alright, you can edit this out, but I used to work for the Matlock Mercury as a cub reporter. Well, I was news editor actually.
News editor, yeah.
And when I first started, I called it Rowsley.
Yeah.
And there was this little old guy coming in, and he was like Mr. Roseley. And we used to sort of joke each week when he came in about the name, and I'd say it's Rowsley, and he'd say no, it's Roseley. I shouldn't know. I've lived here all my life. And he was writing a book about the village and its history.
Yeah.
And then he died. I think it was about a week before the book came out. He died.
Right.
And. I was kind of, people were sort of joking, I sort of caused a heart attack, so you better not put this in the video.
You didn't cause his heart attack?
No.
Your fault.
No. Well, yeah, it's Roseley.
So it's Roseley. So anyone that's watching that's in Derbyshire wants to go to the Peacock at Roseley, great place.
Yeah, great place. It's like,
it's treated like royalty, to quote you. I love that phrase.
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful old building. I think it's medieval. It was called Haddon Hall Estate, I believe. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But it's like stepping back in time there. It's beautiful. It's all huge open fireplaces and stone. And I've not eaten there yet, but I know someone who has only a week ago, and she said the food was again fantastic.
Fantastic food, treated like royalty.
Yeah.
Now you've got a great magazine, haven't you, that you run, and I know at the end of this video we'll have all your contact details so people can look into you on here.
Splendid.
But you run something called Taste the Seasons.
I do indeed.
You've got one of your magazines with us. Just let's have a little look at that.
Okay.
Just tell us a bit about it. What you do.
So Taste the Seasons was born about 18 months ago as an idea, and basically.
I like the title. It's a good title.
Thank you. I'll tell you about the title. But what happened? I'd been made redundant. I was working for the Nottingham Post and been made redundant. always wanted to work in magazines, get out of newspapers. And initially I was looking for a job, locally in a magazine, an established magazine, and there aren't any. So unless you're willing to move to London or Bath, you've not really got a hope of working in a magazine in Derbyshire.
Yep.
And I'm not willing to leave Derbyshire. I love the place.
Yep.
So I was signing on at the job centres. You have to do when you're made redundant.
Hey, you've been there.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
been there.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah. And the guy there said, "Why don't you do your own magazine?" And I thought, that's a bit scary. I thought, okay. He said, "Get in touch with Business Link." Which I did. Went on 4 workshops, one of which was led by your very good self, Marcus. There you are. And met some really inspirational people and thought, I'll give this a go. So I did lots of market research, a hell of a lot of market research.
Yeah.
And then started writing the magazine, writing the features, collecting, chefs, recipes from chefs.
Yeah.
And writers. I've now got 8 columnists. So,
very, very
and
good.
in terms of the title, it was when I was made redundant. It was that horrible winter when it was minus 18 and it snowed for weeks, and then everything turned to ice for weeks.
About 2 years ago.
So, because I was just been made redundant, was watching the pennies. I stayed in.
Yeah.
I didn't really go out a lot, and I was thinking, I fancy watching a cookery show. Used to love River Cottage, so I started series 1.
Yeah, I like Hugh Fernley.
Me too. Series 1, episode 1. And just really got into it again and watched the entire series, and then basically watched every episode he'd ever made, 70 odd episodes it was back then, and then watched all the other shows he'd done, and I was just inspired by this man and thought, if I could take that whole ethos of local food and seasonal food and wild food as well, and put it into a magazine, then that would be great. So I started asking people, do you think this would work? And people like the idea.
Yeah.
So that's what I've done.
Terrific.
Here it is.
For everybody looking at it, I don't know if you can see that very well, but what a beautiful magazine.
Thank you.
And on the back it's
Mr.
James Martin himself.
Yes.
So this magazine, you've got restaurants in here, lots of different stuff in here.
Yeah, lots.
Yeah.
Do you want me to sort of talk you through it?
Yeah, just tell us a little bit about it and how it can help people. Because what we're always about in Food Profits, as everybody who follows us knows, is about supporting local. It's all about great products, it's all about great quality, great food, but it's also about giving people, you talked about it earlier, treating people like royalty.
Yeah.
It's about, we call it a wow or a 5-star experience, and we're all very much about that. We're all about helping local people, because local's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, community-based stuff is going to get bigger. Yeah. So it's great that you're doing some stuff like that. Yeah, just take a minute to tell us a bit about it.
Okay, so that's just the contents page there. This is a spread about, do you want me to hold it like that?
Yeah, you've got food fairs and stuff in there.
Yeah, it's all about the food fair. This is all of like news in brief bits. So if any local food or drink company wins an award or takes on a new manager, let us know. Get in touch. I'm always appealing on Twitter and Facebook and the website. Just let us know. Let us know your stories. It's free. It's free publicity. You'll get in the magazine, you'll get on the website, and it's not going to cost you a penny. It's a no-brainer. All right.
Fantastic. We'll talk about that again just before we finish.
Okay. This is a feature about Holly Bell, who was from the Great British Bake Off last summer.
Yep.
And she actually lives in Leicester, but I tweeted her and said, Holly, have you got any Derbyshire connections? And she said, no, I haven't, sorry.
Can you make them up then?
Except I make a nice bake or tart, and she was just joking. And I know she made that in the series. And I said, well, can I come to your house and we'll make a bake or tart, for the local Derbyshire angle? And she said, yeah. So 3.5 hours, lovely woman. And it was a smashing interview. Really enjoyed meeting her. It was lovely. So, did the feature, got some readers' questions there, which she answered, and then there's the bake or tart recipe as well, if you want to hear it.
Can people advertise this, Sandy, as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How does that work?
Just get in touch, give me a call, send me an email, send me a tweet, and I'll send you a rate card. Yeah, very competitive price too.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We've got 25 advertisers in this first edition, when I was aiming for 10, so delighted. And many more than that in the next one. So,
that's really good.
Yeah.
If I can also ask you something, you mentioned it a few times now, and one of the things we do on one of our programmes, one of our North America programmes called Food Business Growth Programme, it's called 5-Star Masterclass. One of our modules is all about social media food businesses. And what's quite interesting is Andy over is really big on Twitter, really good on Facebook. We've got about 1,000 and something people following on Facebook on your fan page, haven't we?
Yes. What 1,100 on Facebook and something like 1,500 on Twitter, I think.
That's great. So would you recommend to people that is a great way of starting to get...
absolutely, yeah.
Go on, why do you think that?
Well, for one thing, it's free, you know, and it's just a great way of building up contacts. I mean, when I first started Taste the Seasons and was going out doing market research, all these business people were telling me, network. So I went to all these hotels and conference rooms full of, you know, dull people in dull grey suits who were just obsessed with marketing and websites, really. Nothing to do with food and drink, it just wasn't useful at all. But Twitter, you know, obviously you can network with food and drink people on there much more effectively. And there's things like on a Wednesday night there's East Midlands Hour, which is between 8 and 9, and on a Thursday night it's Derbyshire Hour, again between 8 and 9. And you just use the hashtag East Midlands Hour or Derbyshire Hour, and you're talking to people from the area, and there's plenty in the food and drink industry as well.
And we need to have you on one of our webinars, one of our 3-hour webinars, just talking to people about this sort of stuff. It's key, really key. And lots of people aren't doing it, but lots of people are doing it spasmodically and don't really kind of understand how to do it. Cool.
Okay, so that's Holly.
Put your adverts in there.
Really nice. We've got 8 columnists, so this is the first one. This is Tim, who runs a wine merchant in Kirk Langley. So he's written wine columns for various magazines before. Fantastic writer, really happy to.
So do people pay for this magazine, Andy?
No, it's a free magazine.
And at the end of this video, we'll put a link on as to how people can contact you and get it.
No problem.
Fantastic.
So that's Tim. Our first chef there. This is Darren Goodwin, who's the head chef at Lewes Hill House Hotel up in Home.
So can I ask you a question for all the chefs that are watching this video? You'd be happy for them to sort of send you something to contribute?
Absolutely. Yeah, I sent an email out only a couple of days ago looking for the chefs. And basically we just after a starter, main course, and it's using seasonal and local food.
Great stuff. It is a way to promote yourself. We'll give you Andy's details before we finish this video. It'll be on the bottom as well. But great recipes to Andy to get published in his magazine, all for free.
All for free, won't cost you a penny. All you need to do is write the recipes, don't forget the quantities, very important, and send me some photos as well.
Terrific.
More adverts, which is nice. This is Steve from Ilkeston, who's doing a Grow Your Own column. He runs an internet gardening forum, so it's all about your fruit and veg and herbs.
Very good.
Another chef there, which is Matthew Baldwin. We've got Wendy. Remember I was talking about River Cottage. I wanted a Pam the Jam character for the magazine. It was very important. And Wendy Staples came up. She's on the Home Economics Committee with the WI Vice Chairman. So she's doing our jams. This is Joyce, who I was talking about. I think she's 84, and like I say, making the first cheese available in Derbyshire for 3 long years.
Some really good stuff. So, great magazine, Andy, fantastic magazine. Can I just borrow for a second?
You certainly can.
Just about Taste the Seasons. There'll be some links at the end of this video. It's been fantastic talking to you today.
You too,
really appreciate all your time, all your trouble. 2 or 3 things that Andy's mentioned today. Remember the manners thing, which you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Manners, absolutely key, very important, very good. Etiquette, never ever a better time to be. And the other thing, treat like royalty, I think was your words.
Yes.
Treat like royalty. And the other thing we always talk to you about at Food Profits about supporting local and always great quality, always great high quality. And it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Marcus.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Till we see you the next time, all the links for Andy and Taste Seasons will be on the bottom here. You can actually tap into if you're a chef out there in the business area. Send in your recipes, great way of promoting you. And until we see you again, be the very best that you can be.